Hi, I'm Ruth and welcome to the Flow into Health podcast. What does it mean to flow into health? It means living in sync with the energy around you, things like your menstrual cycle, the moon, and the seasons. It means going with the flow and softening into what you may not like in your life and learning to release resistance. And it means understanding how energy flows in our bodies so we can optimize it and feel our very best. Welcome to the new Flow into Health podcast. I'm rebranding and reformatting the show, and I hope you will love it as much as I do. When I started the Lunasyncrasy podcast with my dear friend Cassie, our overlapping interests were all about cycles. We wanted to talk about astrology and menstrual cycles, and that's what we focused on. But those aren't my only interests. I still love energy and cycles, and that will be a part of the new Flow into Health podcast. Flow into Health is for women who have big goals but aren't actively working towards them. It might be because you don't have time, energy, or the fact that there's always something else to do. We have houses to clean, dinners to cook, kids to pick up from school. Something is always available to take our time from the big things that we want to accomplish. Or maybe you have a chronic disease without any cure. No foolproof way to help with the symptoms. Since I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and Meniere's disease, I know about these types of syndromes. When our symptoms flare up, it's hard to have energy to finish the day, much less be productive. Or maybe you don't have any diagnosis and your doctor tells you that you're healthy, but you don't feel it. You almost wish there was something to explain the way that you're feeling. Maybe you have brain fog, or it's impossible to stay up longer than your kids. Your doctor tells you it's a part of getting older, maybe perimenopause, but you know that there's more to it than that. Flow into Health will be a weekly podcast for you if you can relate to these scenarios. When my intuition gave me the name Flow into Health over 2 years ago, I honestly didn't love it. But as I felt into all of the meanings of it for me, it makes a ton of sense. First, flow, F-L-O, signifies the menstrual cycle. When I started digging into what was going on with me personally, I quickly learned that all of my symptoms were pretty cyclical. Why was I getting migraines for a week straight, once a month? It turns out that our hormone cycle really affects our symptoms. Understanding your cycle and the flow of your symptoms can help predict when you will feel bad, and then you can plan around that. The other meaning of flow is about going with the flow. If we feel bad, we shouldn't fight against it. When we think things like, if I felt better, I could work on this project, we're fighting against what is actually happening. That only creates more tension. Going with the flow feels so much better. It goes against everything society tells us, but I promise you, when you go with the flow, things eventually start flowing a lot more naturally. And third, when I think about flow, I think about energy flow in the body. Things like our chakras help the energy flow throughout our whole system. It's also about utilizing our energy, our prana, our life force, and creating the life that we want. When we feel good, good things tend to happen. And we can create specific feelings in our bodies, and those feelings will then help us create the outcomes that we want. Some people may find this a little out there, but quantum mechanics proves a lot of these methods. We're creating the life that we have, and changing our energy can change our lives. For me, things like cycle syncing, astrology, and listening to my intuition have all helped me feel immensely better over time. And when I do feel a little worse for the wear, I know how to go with the flow. I don't fight it. And I know I can start to feel better a lot more quickly. So, can we talk for a little bit about why women are dismissed by their doctors? Why is this such a common thing? There have been so many times when I see my primary care doctor because something feels off in my body. Years ago, I was actually hoping I had a thyroid condition because my energy was so low. They'll listen to my symptoms, but that when the lab work comes back normal, they don't really do anything else. And I know that I'm not the only one that this happens to. I've heard from countless others who have had the same thing happen. Or maybe they've been diagnosed with depression, and so their fatigue is blamed on that. But which actually came first? Is it possible that the low energy caused their depression? I think yes. If we don't have the chronic diseases that have afflicted so many people, We're so easy to dismiss. A healthy woman with no chronic disease is not the patient that doctors want to spend their time on. And I absolutely do not blame them for that. They only have so much time, and if a patient has, say, diabetes and heart failure and kidney disease, I understand them wanting to dismiss somebody like me, like you maybe, the healthy patient, and go spend a little extra time with that truly sick patient. But I can't help but wonder, how do those patients get sick? Do you think they started off with all of those diseases immediately, or did it start by feeling just a little off? And were they dismissed when they originally saw their doctor? I wonder if they just kept regressing until they officially had a diagnosis. Then they get a little bit more attention. But at that point, it's not to optimize their health and energy. It's just to make sure that they don't get worse, to make sure that they're physically okay. And that's not the doctor's fault. Like I've said, it's the system. I truly believe that when we feel something is wrong inside of us, we need to listen. We need to listen to that nudge and begin to make changes. Doesn't need to be dramatic. Maybe we take more time for rest. Maybe we do more things we truly enjoy. We can ensure we're spending time living in the present moment. We can see our friends and family in person, not on screens. Maybe we can avoid those screens sometimes. I can't help but think about how these chronic diseases didn't exist 100 years ago. People were active. They spent time with people. They didn't sit in front of their computer, their TV, or their phone all day for entertainment. Is it entertainment, or are they numbing out? I mean, it's probably both. But our lifestyle change has made a big change to our health. And there's so many more sick people nowadays. But we can make small changes. I think our intuition, our gut, our inner voice knows what we need. Something I like to do every day is ask my inner voice what I can do today that will light me up. What's going to make me happy? What's just going to bring that great energy into my life? And often it's something pretty relaxing. Like I'll see a picture of me sipping on a hot cup of coffee and doing nothing else. No reading, no looking at my phone, no talking to anybody, just sitting and enjoying the coffee. Other times it's connecting with certain people, and often I already had plans to talk to them. And so it's just my inner voice telling me, just enjoy that time, be present with that person. But always, it's something easy. It's something I can easily fit into my day. But making it a practice to do something that we want to do, hopefully that we love to do every day, it honestly helps bring our energy back. Feeling better and feeling more energetic does not have to take a lot of work. In fact, I believe that doing less work will actually help us even more. When they say life is about the journey, not the destination, I 100% think that's true. How much of your day is spent doing something you enjoy or are at least present with? And how much is spent planning for some future event or numbing out on social media or wishing your kid would just go to sleep already so you can get on with your day? These things have a place, but I'll bet if you start doing less of it and start living in the moment, you'll notice some of the excitement of life coming back. You'll feel that spark, and doing enough of that will get you feeling better each day. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to subscribe so you can be notified when new episodes are released. And if you know of anybody else who might enjoy this content, I'd really appreciate you sharing the Flow into Health podcast with them. If you can't think of anyone else to share the podcast with, a 5-star review really helps others find the podcast. Thanks for listening today. I am so grateful to the podcast listeners, and I want to continue creating content that you want to hear. If you have any questions or comments, I'd love to hear them, and maybe an